One of the easier and maybe more overlooked adjustments when setting up an electric guitar is setting up the guitar action. Now I'm going to show you how to do it. What is up everyone, Man Bun Metalhead here. Overall, performing a setup on your guitar can be a pretty intimidating task. The three big steps are adjusting the neck relief, the action, and the intonation. I've already made videos on guitar relief and intonation, so why not do one on action? Really, adjusting the action on an electric guitar is pretty simple. Just turn the bridge pin screws up or down until you're happy. That's it. Video over. Yeah, you know I wouldn't end it there. First of all, as I just hinted at, this video is on how to adjust the action on an electric guitar. If you have an acoustic, sorry, this video isn't for you. That is a little more of an in-depth topic. Quick disclaimer, before adjusting the action on your guitar, make sure you adjust the neck relief. And if you're not comfortable making any of these adjustments, take your guitar to a guitar tech. I'm not responsible if you screw up your guitar. All right, now that we've got that covered, let's get into it. What is guitar action? Essentially, it's just how high the strings sit over the neck. Your guitar strings have two contact points, the nut and the bridge. Now, adjusting the nut is pretty tricky, so we'll leave that one alone. Easiest way to do it is to raise or lower the bridge. And no matter what kind of bridge you have, this should work for you. Where you set your action relies greatly on your preference. The lower the strings are, the easier the guitar is to play because you have to use less force and less distance to push down the string. And more than likely, they also tend to stay in tune a little bit better than if they are higher off the fretboard. Of course, there are trade-offs. As you lower the strings, you will start to get buzzing. This can be as simple as a small little buzz when you first pluck the string and then that buzz goes away. That's my preference. Or it can be a constant buzz, which can be very annoying. Of course, to counteract this, you just raise the action, but that will make the guitar harder to play. Most guitars are going to have a bridge that sits on or is held down by two pins, one on the high side and one on the low side. You'll either need a flathead screwdriver or an Allen wrench to adjust them. Some of them have knurled knobs, but they are a little bit of a pain to adjust by hand if the guitars are already up to tune, so I'd recommend using that Allen wrench or screwdriver. Turning the screw clockwise will lower the bridge, and turning it counterclockwise will raise the bridge. One nice part about having two pins is you can adjust the low and high sides separately. Typically on most guitars, you'll find that the low side is slightly higher than the high side. And usually this is because the lower strings are thicker and will tend to vibrate more, which can create more buzz. Of course, your setup could vary depending on the strings, the guitar, your preference, or play style. So just take that as a general rule. On my offset V, which I eloquently named Shredder, yeah, I name a guitar, the action on both the high and low sides are actually the same. And this, I think, is due to the strings that I use. I use DR string high beams, and they have a hexagonal chord, or the wound strings have a hexagonal core compared to a round core like most have. And what that does is you just have a higher string tension on those strings compared to a round core. So I can lower the action just a little bit more and get less buzz. So what's a good way to reference action? By measuring the distance between the string and the fret at the 12th fret. We can see that distance between the fret and the string on the 12th fret, and obviously this is on my low side. The best way to do this is by using a set of feeler gauges. Now the action on Shredder is 48 thousandths of an inch. That's 0.048 inches. Your feeler gauges probably won't get there. Mine only go to 25 thousandths, but you can easily get there by stacking up a few of those gauges. For instance, I use 15 thousandths, 16 thousandths, and 17 thousandths stacked up to get my 48 thousandths. So just use a combination of gauges that are next to each other to make your measurement. To make the measurement, place your gauges on the end of the fret, make them as parallel as possible to the fret, then slide them under the string. If the end of the gauge pushes on the string, your measurement is too big, and if you see a gap between the string and the gauge, then it's too small. Now that we know how to adjust the action via the bridge height and how to measure it, we're pretty much good to go. But let me give you a few quick tips, and I will give you a demonstration, don't worry. First, when setting your action, you don't really need to measure while you're making the adjustments. Just make your adjustments until you're happy and then take a measurement for reference afterwards. This can be very helpful later on, once you have your setup and you're happy with how it is, you can just set it up to that measurement later on, or you can use it to compare to other guitars. So for instance, if one guitar has the same action measurement but has no buzz and the other one has lots of buzz, there might be some things that you might need to fix. For instance, the neck relief, or it might need a fret level. My second tip is to tune your guitar between adjustments because that will affect action. If you have a guitar with a tailpiece like mine does, be careful when you raise the bridge because that will put extra tension on the string, and if you go too far, it could possibly break a string or two. My last tip is to make adjustments to the high and low sides at the same time. If you make all your adjustments on your high side, get it to where you want it, and then start making big adjustments on the low side, then you'll probably have to go back to the high side and make adjustments again. If you're making small adjustments to either side, you probably don't have to worry about the other side, but always check it afterwards just to be safe. All right, let's get into actually adjusting the action. Now you'll notice that my guitar is on my bench, but I wouldn't recommend doing it this way. I would actually recommend making the adjustments while holding the guitar. I'm just doing it this way because it's easier to film. If you do it this way like me, you're gonna have extra pressure on your neck, creating relief in the neck. And when you set your action and let it go, what's gonna happen is the action is gonna come back down and get close to the guitar. So I'll play it like this. There will be a little bit of buzzing, and then I'll pick it up and there could be a whole bunch of buzzing. It's always good to make those adjustments, especially when you get close to where you want it to be, to have it in the playing position. First thing we're going to do is check for string buzzing. Shouldn't have too much or any here because my bridge is pretty high. So we're just gonna strum the strings. I have no buzzing there. So I'm gonna check one string, and typically you want to do all of them, but we're just gonna do one for time's sake. And I'm gonna put my finger on the first fret and pluck it with my other finger and move my string all the way up, and I'm just going to check for buzzes. So I do have a little bit of buzzing up high, but I'm not too worried about that right now, but we'll see as we get there. So my action is pretty high. It is around 62 thousandths on the high end, and I'm hoping to get it around 48. And then you can see here visually what that looks like at 62 thousandths. So I might as well check my high side while we're at it. And I have zero buzzing there as well. I'm not exactly sure where that's at, but we'll just make adjustments to both at the same time. So I'm going to lower my bridge. So I want to turn it clockwise to go down and lower the bridge. So we'll go over to the low side first, and we'll just do maybe about a quarter turn. When you first start off, definitely make smaller adjustments at first until you get a feel of how those adjustments are going to affect the guitar. Adjust the high side as well. And then we can see we're starting to get buzzing there. But one thing I didn't do was tune the guitar. And because I lowered the bridge, my guitar detuned, so I had to tune it up. So let's check the buzz now. So I really don't have a whole lot of buzzing there still. So let's make some more adjustments. And then tune. So checking the buzzing again. On my low side, I'm pretty good until I get really high. And it's not something I'm really worried about because I'm not going to play those high frets very often, if ever, on the low strings. I'm more worried about the high strings, right? So looking at the high, I'm still really good on buzzing. I can actually go lower there, but I'm not going to do that because you guys got the idea. But what we will do is I'm going to make a couple measurements here just to see where the low string is now. So the measurement on the low side is actually at right around 48 thousandths, which is where I want to be. So just to give you guys a visualization, put this card here, and I will show you guys what 48 thousandths looks compared to 62 thousandths like I had before. So hopefully you guys can see that difference. Of course, like I mentioned before, I am not done with adjusting this guitar. I'm actually going to put it in my playing position and make the adjustments and make sure I got everything perfect. But that is really how you do action. It's really not all that difficult. Of course, while you're making these adjustments, it's always good to check all the other strings. Like I only checked my low and high. And also because you should be making these adjustments while you're holding the guitar, feel free to play around with it as you do so. But yeah, you saw how you did it. You just rinse and repeat until you have the action that you're looking for. So now you're ready to get your action nice and low. Once the action is set, you want to make sure to adjust or check your intonation. Of course, I have a video on how to do that. One final note. If you lower your bridge all the way down and your action is still a little too high, there might be an easy fix for that, assuming you have a bolt-on neck. I'll be releasing a video shortly on how to adjust your neck angle. Well, there you have it. Everything you need to know to adjust your guitar action. If this video helped you out, please give me a thumbs up down there below. Really helps me out a lot. And if you want to hear more about what I'm working on, like that neck angle video coming out shortly, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified whenever I have a new video come out. But hey, until next time, rock on.